Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Talk radio for the thinking person, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
The treasure of love is easy to find. It's waiting for you if your heart.
Yes, I'm live. It's Michael Savage. Not abandoning you in your time of need. As America is being infiltrated and overrun, Michael Savage sits here, sort of a vigil on the hill, watching the nightmare unfold, while Fang is surfing in Hawaii, having slammed open the borders, pillaged the treasury, debased every institution in America, including the military. There are those of us who see what is going on and refuse to capitulate to the enemy. I have a question for you. Why is Trump's lead growing larger and larger, despite him attacking Muslim immigrants? And number two, if Hillary represents women's rights, why is she silent while girls are being raped in the Middle East by Muslims? Yazidi women, Christian women, ripped out of their mother's arms. Go and look at the videotape. I have it up from the Daily Mail on michaelsavage.com. It is one of the most heart-rendering tapes I've ever seen in my life. Yazidi girls screaming as they're torn away from their mothers and fathers in a schoolyard by these Untermenschen, these subhumans who make Hitler's minions look like Boy Scouts, and we're doing nothing about it. Virtually nothing about it. Fang is in Hawaii saying nothing about these rapes. Hillary, the liar, who represents women like my dog represents women. How could she say she represents women when she's saying nothing about ongoing rape and kidnapping, Barbara Streisand? Barbara, hey, big mouth, hey, funny girl, who loves all things liberal. Somalia cancels Christmas because it threatens Islamic culture. You hear this? Any country where there is a Muslim majority, there is persecution of other religions. Now, right now, the Muslims are in a minority in America, but they're moving up. Do you know what happened in this country right after the Muslim massacre in San Bernardino? The Muslim group, I forget the name of this one of the front groups, a U.S. Muslim group announced a campaign to not root out and seek out jihadis in America, but to fight Islamophobia after the slaughter. They're very clever, haven't they? They learned the game in America. They learned it from Jesse Jackson. They learned it from Al Sharpton. They learned it from Black Lives Matter. They learned to keep getting in the face of America no matter what happens. Never admit that you're wrong. Never admit that you're part of the problem. Always attack, attack, attack. And that explains why Trump is going up, up, up. He's the only one on the political stage that's saying one word about the dangers of Islam. Now, I'm not going to spend all day talking about this, but I'm going to spend a few more minutes on it if you don't mind. I know many of you are in Christmas mode and you'd rather hear some lighter stuff, and you will. Maybe, maybe not. You know, I am doing a Teddy book, my dog Teddy. It's coming out in May. It'll be totally different than anything I've ever published. Mainly pictures of this little guy and me feeding him and this and that, bicycling, all sorts of happy stuff. But I've written it so that I hope it becomes a classic, not just a little, Hallmark dog book. I try to put some duende in it, some soul, some me, some humanity. And in it, I mention in passing that a neighbor says you can judge a man by how he treats dogs. And I conclude the opening to that book with a little statement about how Muslims treat dogs. And he said, "You're kidding." I didn't know that. I said, "You didn't know that Islam and dogs are not cooperative, or shall I say, compatible?" No, he said, "I didn't know that." I said, "You know that Muslims hate dogs?" He said, "Come on." So I put together for you a little list of things about how Muslims treat dogs. You forgot the case back in Minneapolis in 97 to start with, when a Somali cab driver kicked a blind person out with a seeing eye dog, screaming, no dog, get out, get out." threw the blind woman out of the cab. And to this, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which many consider to be the Muslim mafia, according to a book that was put out, CAIR replied by pointing out that the saliva of dogs invalidates the ritual purity needed for prayer. Close quote. There are many other cases. I have them in my hand. How about how Muslims treat women? You think that they like women? You think they treat women as equals? First of all, they put them in medieval tents. What man would put his wife in a tent that covers every part of her body who respects women? They treat them worse than they do a camel. Now, when I say to you there's a clash of civilizations and that war is coming, you could say I'm crazy, but if you open your eyes, you realize the war is here. And only a lunatic, a psychotic who hates the country would bring in millions of men of military age from Syria into this country at a time like this. This is the same insanity that you would see if it was 1939 after Hitler had invaded surrounding nations, and that if a president got up and said, in order to be nice to the growing German threat, we're going to bring in more Germans and learn how to live with them because we need to get to know the good Germans. And you say to them, wait a minute, if you're bringing in millions of Germans, how do you know which ones of them are members of the Nazi party? We don't care. We'll vet them. How can you vet them when they have fake passports? Well, don't tell us about that. We need them to come in to vote for a Democrat. This is what's going on. In other words, this entire administration is committing treason and sedition, in plain English. But we're not living in sane times, are we? We're living in insane times where the doxies of the left, the religious doxies of liberalism, are trumping, sorry to use the word, sanity and reality. Sanity and reality are being trumped by the stupidity of the left. That's the opening to the show. Now, I spent all morning, I had a good time this morning. I was talking for over 2 hours to my friend in Hollywood, Robert Davi, who is an actor who's been in 200 movies. You may recognize him, you may not. I love him as a friend. Great guy. I don't see him but every few months. But he and I, when we start to talk, I don't know what it is. We pollinate in ideas. We're working on I can't tell you anything about it other than we have a script that we're working on together, which will be a movie, and a novel that we're working on together, which will be a novel first. It's going to be an amazing movie. It has something to do with what I just said to you. That's all I can say about it. It's about America as it should be. And the only way to get America back to how it can be. That's what this movie and novel will be about. But that's a year away from now. But I love that conversation. We couldn't stop calling each other back with additional ideas for the movie. I would call him. I said, I got to go. I got a movie. I got a show to do. Robert, I got to get off the phone. Then I'm stuffing my face with a bagel of talking with him. And he's giving me ideas. He's hammering me. And I said, oh, my God, that's amazing. Let me add to the scene with this. I said, I got to go. Stop it. I got a show to do in 20 minutes. Stop it. He said, no, one more thing. I said, no, stop. This went on for 3 hours. He and I can't stop. Do you ever get into those states of creativity with someone? It's unbelievable. He and I are some team. So I did have a wonderful morning, and then I have to, do your show, my show, and talk about the realities of what we're living through here. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. But, of course, it makes sense why Trump is rising. Trump is rising because he's the only one ever talked about the threat that Muslim immigration poses to our society. And yet Hillary Clinton, the demagogue liar, says anybody who says one word about the threat that Muslim immigration poses to our society is an Islamophobe, a thisophobe, a thatophobe. Why is the gay community silent on this? This is something that perplexes me. How are gays treated in fundamentalist Muslim societies? Why is the gay community dumb and silent on this? Why is the female of our species silent on this when women are treated worse than garbage? Why? How does Hillary get away with silence on this? I ask myself these questions, and for which there is no answer. None. Instead, she attacks Trump. Instead of attacking those who are raping girls in the Middle East, she attacks Trump. Here is Hillary Clinton, Miss Pantsuit, in clip 2. Listen.
I really do think we need more love and kindness in our country. I think we are not treating each other with the respect and the care that we should show toward each other.
Oh, shut up. Is there more, Robert, or you cut her off? Oh, you cut her right. Even Robert couldn't take it. She's known as a caring, loving woman, isn't she? She's known as a caring, loving woman. You know, every time you look at Hillary Clinton, you can feel love pouring over her, out of her. She's known for love. You got to play the rest of it, Robert, with the bully part. I'm sorry I cut you off by screaming. Could you just pick it up a little bit and run it again? It's okay.
And why we shouldn't let anybody bully his way into the presidency. Because bully. That is not who we are as Americans.
You would know what we are as Americans. Vince Foster knows who we are as Americans. The chain of women that your husband abused know what we are as Americans. I love it. You shouldn't let anyone bully their way into the presidency. And what are you doing? You're not bullying your way into the presidency? You annihilated anyone in the Democrat Party who might have stood in your way. You crushed them like a bug. People far better than you were crushed, Hillary, so you could finally have what you think you're going to have, but you're not going to have it. I believe Trump will be our next president. I believe every poll is supporting that. I believe that even minority communities love Trump. And I'll tell you why. I've analyzed this for a long time when I come back right here on the Savage Nation. This is Captain Savage. We have attained cruising altitude. You can take off your seatbelts, have a drink, walk around, have a smoke. See, this airplane is safer than most because it's not a real airplane. It's an airplane of your mind. It's an airplane that takes you to an America that doesn't exist anymore, but an America that just might exist again. With me in the crew quarters are Robert on the board and Clint on the calls. Teddy, of course, is the mascot, fast asleep at my feet. I'll be with you for the next couple of hours. And the phone number is 855-407-282. And when we broke, I said, why Trump is popular even amongst minorities. And I'm going to get to that in a second, but I want to diverge again back to something. I posted the Daily Mail article from a week ago of ISIS vermin taking young girls to rape them away from their mothers and fathers as the mothers and fathers and the girls are screaming. You can't even listen to the screams. People are not believing this is real. Someone smuggled this out from one of the ISIS strongholds. They're dragging these young girls away. One of them escaped and tells what happened to her. They then shot their fathers. We know where they are and we don't kill them. That fraud of a president of ours dashes off to go surfing in Hawaii and lets this go on, makes believe he's a champion of the downtrodden. And Hillary, that harridan, says nothing about this, making believe she's a champion of women. And that comes right to why Trump is popular, even amongst constituencies that you would not think would support him. Even amongst African Americans, there's a huge support for Trump, and I will tell you why. The African American community, in my opinion, has been lied to so often and for so long that even if they disagree with the man's policies to a certain extent, they'd rather have a truth teller than a liar. They know Hillary's a liar through and through. They know what they're going to get with her. They don't like her. So they like Trump, they like strength, and they like truth. They don't care even if his policies disagree with theirs. At least they know he'll tell it like it is. That's number one. Why are Hispanics, so many Hispanics in favor of Trump? I'll tell you why. You have to understand, you're going to call it the Latino culture. You can, even though that's not the proper word. We'll use it for the sake of identity. The Latino culture is a male-oriented culture. It's extremely macho. Do I have to say any more? Is there a more alpha macho candidate than Donald Trump? He appeals to the Latino male because he is macho. They like strength. They like leadership. They want a man running America, not a deceptive liar. They don't want a snake running America like Obama. They see what the snake is. They know the snake has done nothing for the Latino community except threaten the Latino community by flooding America with millions of undocumented aliens who threaten who the most? Who do these undocumented Hispanics threaten the most? The Hispanics who are already here, many of whom are on the bottom of the social ladder. And who is being hurt more by the illegal aliens from south of the border than anyone? The African American community. The social welfare funds that should be going to the poorest of the poor is being diverted to illegal aliens from third world nations. They know what's going on, and they know that Trump will actually be good for them financially as well as every other way. That's my analysis. You can take that to the bank. I'm Michael Savage. You can take that to the bank because it's the best analysis of why minorities like Trump and why he's going to win. They detest Hillary. I'll tell you something else. Latinos don't like Hillary. They don't like her because they don't like I got to be very delicate about it. Well, it's the opposite of what I just said about what their culture is and what they respect. Let's put it to you that way. They're not a matriarchy. They don't like women to begin with telling them what to do. They're not going to vote for a woman. There's something you got to understand about that. It's whether you want to hear it or not doesn't matter to me. I'm giving you one man's opinion. I'm giving you an analysis that is based upon very careful study. So there are two groups that you would think would be natural allies of the Democrat socialist machine, but they're not. And they're moving, according to polls I've seen, over to the Trump side. And this is much to the consternation of the wonderful people, the truth tellers in the media, all the people that you've trusted for all these years to tell you exactly what's going on. All of the independent men with such grave bravery. The Jake Tappers, the Wolf Blitzers, that type, the type you've come to trust to tell you the truth. You see, it's giving them a lot of trouble because they know that they're supposed to get Hillary elected at all costs, and they're failing. Oh, they're failing at the end of the day. Their jobs are on the line. If they can't deliver the goods, what good are they? I mean, if you want to work for the Politburo, and you want to be a member of Pravda after the Politburo candidate is selected and you haven't gotten that Politburo candidate elected, you're going to be cast into Siberia. The next thing you know, you might be teaching journalism at a school in Arkansas, an unaccredited school in Arkansas, owned by the Clinton family or the Clinton Foundation. You might be teaching journalism at the Clinton Foundation to 3 television screens. You never know what might happen if you can't get her elected. So here I stand the day before Christmas Eve. I will be off tomorrow, just so you know, but we have no one filling in. It'll be me filling in for me with some of the best pieces from the last few weeks. Same on Friday, because no one's no one's here on Friday, I guess. Everyone's somewhere else. I'll be traveling Friday, and then Monday, well, I'll tell you when I get back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
We have evil at our doorsteps, and we have an administration that is either blind to this evil or is collaborating with this evil. But it does not matter which of the above statements is factually correct. All we as a people know is that no one is protecting us from this evil. We know that. We know that by how? We know it by San Bernardino. We know it by the fact that those subhumans who conducted that massacre were admitted into this country because DHS failed us. And Obama, instead of firing the head of the Department of Homeland Security, let that loser go out on the warpath against anyone who criticized him. He mumbled his way through the media over the next 3 days, and then they put him back where he belongs, in a back room somewhere. He is put there to do nothing. We have the bravest men in the world, the bravest and most superior fighting force in the world, being led by sissies. We have police being led by sissies in America who know what to do to control the cities. We have an FBI that could break doors in and yank them out by their filthy noses. Bravest men and women you could imagine being controlled by sissies. The country has been sissified, to use an overly used and underly used word. But that's not the real reason that these brave men are being controlled. It's not the sissification factor. It is, in my opinion, an infiltration factor. When you see a slaughter like we saw, a massacre in San Bernardino, and the next day Muslim hate groups posing as protectors of the Muslim people go out there and start attacking America, saying you're basically responsible for what happened owing to your policies. We got to report Islamophobia. They know the game very well. They learned it from the ACLU. They learned it from Al Sharpton, in my opinion. They learned it from Jesse Jackson. They learned how to bully everyone into submission. And so the FBI is afraid of them. CIA is afraid of them. Military is afraid of them. Police are afraid of them. Where does this end unless we stand up to these bullies? Does it end like the Yazidi girls? Oh, that can't happen here. Why, are you kidding? That can't happen here. Don't be crazy, Savage. That's lunacy. That's paranoia. That's right-wing paranoia. It can't happen here. Really, and San Bernardino couldn't happen here either. And the Boston Marathon bombing by 2 Muslims couldn't happen here either, right? And 9/11 couldn't happen here, right? And all the other hundreds and hundreds of Muslim attacks that were thwarted by our government, so they say, couldn't have happened here either, right? But they are happening here. Why? For the exact reasons I just said to you. Because the brave men and women who are in these agencies, they could stop the next one to probably a 99th percentile of let us say, up to the 99th percentile. All they got to do is preemptively arrest the vermin who they're tracking before they kill us. They can't. Why can't they? Civil rights. Yes. The sacred cow of civil rights. I forgot about that. Well, let me remind you something about civil rights. Civil rights laws were written for a civil society. Without a civil society, you cannot have civil rights laws. They were written for another time. They're not written for a time of Muslim violence and Islamic terrorism. Without a civil society, you can have no rights at all because you'll be dead. What good are civil rights laws if you're not alive? So what are you saying, Savage? Suspend civil rights laws? No, I'm not Abraham Lincoln. I'm not a hero of Obama who suspended habeas corpus. Not at all. I'm not saying what Lincoln would do. Lincoln, the great hero of Obama, suspended habeas corpus. He arrested journalists. You didn't know that, did you? He arrested journalists. Check it out. It's actually in my book, Government Zero, based on facts, not on rhetoric. Lincoln was a dictator, a fascist dictator during the Civil War. Why am I telling you all of this? You figure it out. You figure it out. If he's one of Obama's heroes, you can pretty much figure out why I'm quoting you what Lincoln actually was. But Lincoln isn't the problem right now. Right now, the problem is Fang the surfer. I actually sleep better knowing he's away on vacation. I feel a little safer knowing the lunatic is away for a week or so. I don't fear I'm going to wake up tomorrow to another kick in the groin. There's no one to protect any of us. There's nothing between us and this madman's mania. Whatever the madman wants to do, he gets away with, the lunatic. What, he's going to be stopped by Paul Ryan, the Quisling of our time, who's running a puppet Democrat government inside the Republican Party? Write that one down. That goes beyond what you've heard so far. Just as Mr. Quisling welcomed the Nazis when they invaded Norway, I believe. I think it was Norway. I'll have to check on it. Robert, check if it was Norway or Finland. I believe it was Norway. So the Nazis invade Norway. Quisling, who was Norwegian, welcomes the Nazis, and they make Quisling the president of a Nazi puppet government inside Norway after the invasion. That's Ryan. Ryan is the Quisling of our time. Paul Ryan, Mr. Beard, who I called Obama's beard, which was close to what I wanted to say. He's not so much Obama's beard. He is the head of a Democrat puppet government inside the Republican Party, which I like that much. I like that analysis better. It fits better. A puppet Democrat government inside the Republican Party. Puppet, like the word puppet. And Quisling. Was it Norway, Robert? Yes, it was Norway. My memory did not fail me yet. I have a very good memory. It's very funny. The older I get, the better my memory gets, both short and long term. The thing I can't remember is trivia. It's funny, I can remember important things. I can't remember trivia that doesn't matter. I was always like that as a student. That's why I wasn't a great student, because I wasn't good at rote memory. I couldn't do it because it didn't matter to me. I didn't want to remember. I found that what I needed, what I was interested in, I could remember. And what I felt was important, I could remember forever. And then I had a great college teacher, the best teacher I ever had. I forget his name. When he said, look, the tests don't really matter to me because I'm not really here to trick you. He said, all I want you to do is learn how to find the answers to what you're looking for, where to go to get the answers. That's what I call a scholar who was not there to punish the students. He said, I just want you to learn where to find the answers to what you're looking for. I forget which course in advanced science it was. I don't remember even which science it was in. He taught me how to find what I was looking for. Now, today, no one bothers going to the library, really, except scholars who may want to find obtuse texts. But today, they go to Google. That they think is scholarship. But your Google searches, as good as they are quite limited, by the way. It should be your primary search as Google. It's very good, but it's not The end, it's not the end. They're very, very biased. They leave things out that don't agree with their biased philosophy. And by the way, in the list of companies getting away with not paying their fair share of taxes, I forgot to list Google yesterday. We spent a lot of time talking about Apple and their trickery, Microsoft and their tax trickery. We know all about it, but Google is one of the worst offenders in the analysis, by the way, that anyone could do. If Google actually paid their fair share of taxes, along with Facebook and Microsoft, the budget would be balanced probably overnight. But they don't. They claim their income is overseas and they don't pay federal taxes on it. They pay a pittance or nothing in Ireland or wherever they're headquartered, the Isle of, I don't know where they are. Take a look at it. You say that's fair. So why are they not paying their taxes? Why? How did they get away with it? I explained to you. I told you all about how Hitler did it. I went back to the Krupps and the industrialists that he cultivated during his rise to power. The same way this Democrat machine is working. They cultivate all these huge corporations by letting them get away with tax murder. And so they don't oppose them. And that way they have absolute power. That's how it works. So I could talk about the campaign, if you want to do that. I don't know that I want to get stuck on that, but we can. Oh, I didn't finish what I started on something, which was the dog thing, right? I got to find it. Here it is. I started by saying, did you know that Muslims hate dogs? Of course, there are probably modern Muslims who don't, but by and large, dogs are hated in Islam. And I told you that in one of the events, this one was in New Orleans, when they threw a seeing eye dog out of a car and harmed the wrist of the blind woman. And the Council on American Islamic Relations, CAIR, replied by pointing out that, quote, the saliva of dogs invalidates the ritual purity needed for prayer. And he left it to the scholars of Islam to decide whether a guide dog should be allowed in a cab. All of this was published by Daniel Pipes, September 25th, 2014, Muslims versus Seeing Eye Dogs. February 99, Annie McEachran, blind since birth, tried to get into Hassan Tahir's cab in Cincinnati, but he refused her dog entry. When McEachran complained to the city, Tahir noted that Islam holds dogs to be impure. And again, CARE came to his defense, noting, quote, people from the Middle East especially, we have been indoctrinated with a kind of fear of dogs. The driver has a genuine fear and he acted in good faith. He's acted in accordance with his religious beliefs, quote, close quote. October 2000, another taxi issue arose in Edmonton, Canada, when Khalid Habib Ahmad refused to allow Kelly Fair to take his guide dog into his cab, then claimed without the necessary proof from an allergist to back him up an allergy to dog hair. Ahmad also added that as a Muslim taking a dog in his car conflicted with his religion. The case against Ahmad was dismissed because of improperly filings. July 01, Claude Everett, a blind resident of Oakland. December 06, Hani Bidi Musan, born blind and living in Oslo, is kicked out of a taxi in Norway by a Muslim. No one will actually take her. May 14th, 2010, at Napoli's Italian restaurant in Alta Vista, Virginia, Christine Calabresi, 47 and legally blind, goes to the restaurant on May 8 with her husband John and her service dog Koji. They took our order for drinks, so I thought everything was fine, said Christine Calabresi, but they were soon asked to leave by the managers Ahmed and Fethi Mous. I know my business. That dog is not allowed, said Ahmed. So why am I pointing out the hatred of dogs by so many Muslims? Because again, you stupid Americans don't even know what you're facing. You are so blind to your own biases that you don't even want to see the truth. They treat women like dirt. They treat dogs worse than dogs. And you say, well, what's wrong with that? They'll all integrate into America. And besides, I hate white men so much, it's okay. All right, you get the picture. This is how bad this scene is. Somalia cancels Christmas because it threatens Islamic culture. You know that Christmas celebrations are being canceled all across America because it threatens atheist culture? In other words, it threatens liberal culture. The culture of liberalism is that of nihilism. The culture of liberalism is canceling Christian holidays across America, and that preceded the Muslim invasion. Now you understand why in Government Zero I told you about the danger we're facing from the progressive/Islamist alliance. I'm not going to read from the book. I'm not going to go back to it. Many of you are reading it and know what's going on. And my only hope is that when Donald Trump becomes president, the buses start rolling. First south, and then the airplanes start running in the directions they come in. All of the UPS airplanes that are bringing Muslims in are then hired by the Trump government to take them back out and take them back to their homeland, which they love so much. Take them back to Syria. Send 1,000 planes back to Somalia. Send 1,000 plane loads back to Iraq. Send them back to their lovely homelands after ISIS is crushed so we can get America back again. It's a dream. I have a dream. You say it's only a fantasy? Who knows? I'm a fantasist. Okay, is it time for a quick call? I hope so. The minute I return right here on the Savage Nation.
Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Come on, baby, let me thrill your soul. Come on, baby, let the good time roll. Roll all night long.
It is 54 minutes after the hour. You're listening to the one and only Savage Nation, if I may say so myself, the one and only, sitting here at the helm. So people are writing this to me. Michael, Hillary is complicit in the Boko Haram crimes. She refused to put them on the terror watch list so that we could target them. Why, I don't know. Maybe they donated to the Clinton Fund. You know, I posted that horrible, nightmarish, stolen video from the Daily Mail on my Facebook account. I put it on my michaelsavage.com website of the ISIS vermin taking the young girls away from their families to rape them as they scream. And then they took their fathers out into the fields and shot them. And there's nothing being said about this by the surfer in Hawaii or by Hillary or by anyone for that matter. And I've been screaming about this. Where are the Jewish groups? I keep screaming, where are the Jewish groups? You say, well, what are you picking on the Jews for? I'm not picking on the Jews. I'm appealing to the professional Jewish organizations who exist to protect the Jewish people first and other minorities. After all, if the motto is never again, to never allow a Holocaust again, and we are witnessing a Holocaust in front of our eyes, ongoing, and the Jews don't speak out, then who will? Where is Abe Foxman when we don't need him? Where are the tree huggers and the liberals when we don't need them? Where? Where's the Vatican? Where's the United Nations? Where are the feminists? There's no humanity left in this country. And that's why Trump is soaring. Is because he's saying what most of us think. We don't believe a word coming out of the mouths of Hillary. We don't believe a word coming out of the religious organizations, Religion Incorporated. This is an abomination. And Obama's flooding refugees from the Middle East in as quickly as he can. Beyond belief, huh? Okay, so we're supposed to tolerate this? We're supposed to tolerate this? Why is CAIR not saying a word about what ISIS is doing to these little girls? Listen to the screams of those girls. I dare you. I dare all of you sneering liberal losers to go and find that stolen video. The chilling screams of Yazidi women being dragged away by ISIS from the Daily Mail online. It's on michaelsavage.com. I'm not taking it down. It's going to stay up there permanently. This has gotten the biggest number of responses of anything I've ever posted in the shortest period of time. And this is on an off day today. I want the most devout feminist listening to this show to watch that video and tell me that after watching it, you still believe what you believed before it from your point of view, okay? From your doxy.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Talk radio for the thinking person. Home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
I really deplore the tone of his campaign and the inflammatory rhetoric that he is using to divide people, and his going after groups of people with hateful, incendiary rhetoric.
All you need is love.
Robert, what smiles on my face. Robert's working this show. How long now, Robert? 2? Going on 2 years? Amazing. I feel like it just started yesterday. I don't mean that you're not as competent as you seem to be, but it's like he could read my mind. I told him to play that Hillary clip. Look who's talking about kindness and hate and incendiary rhetoric. As a woman built her entire life on it. Well, we'll play a little of the old Hillary one of these days. We have all of those tapes. The screaming old Hillary is not seen anymore. The newer, kinder Hillary is seen. And she's freaked out that Trump's beating her in every poll. She can't believe it. She thought this was hers to lose. She never thought the Republicans would even permit him to get this far. She thought it would be one of the patsies. As good as they are, any Republican that I see on that stage, with the exception of maybe one, Rubio I've never trusted. He's a front man for special interests beyond all the others put together. I say if you took all the special interests combined for all the other candidates on the Republican side and combined them, they wouldn't be as many as the special interests controlling Rubio. From day one, from the get-go. The smiling little boy that they found with the ice cream truck, ding-a-ling, in Miami. It's like the gardener with Peter Sellers. They wanted to make him president. I don't know if I want to continue this intensity in this hour. Because enough is enough already. I'd rather talk about my conversation with Robert and the movie we're going to do, but I can't because I'll give the plot away. It'll be stolen before it leaves my breath. Ideas are very rare in this world. Really, original ideas are as rare as you can imagine. So I've always been reluctant to float book ideas around, even through an agent, because they can get stolen. You think about it. Think about what happens. I'm going to go backwards in a minute. My first commercial book was published in 1972. Earth Medicine, Earth Foods. It sold hundreds of thousands, and in many printings in many languages. I have it in German and this and that. So I was successful mildly successful. I don't mean Stephen King level, but I was able to make a living as a writer in the 70s, a young family. And I was writing health books and nutrition books, and I really lived that. It was my whole life, truthfully. It's all I dreamed about, was doing health books and botany and ethnobotany. I had books stolen, books was, never mind book ideas. I'll give you an example. My book, I think it was the Maximum Immunity book that Houghton Mifflin published that was in 9 languages. A French author stole the entire book down to the last word, translated into French, published it in France. It became a bestseller, and we could not collect a dime from the French in the courts because they protect their own, by the way. So that was my cauterization. Then I had another book proposal stolen from a publisher. You see, when they float them around, everyone has brother-in-laws and cousins and boyfriends. You see a good idea, why can't they just share it with someone who has quicker access to a publisher, get it published, and steal the idea? I had that happen. So as I've gotten older, I've gotten smarter. I don't put ideas out there where they can be ripped off. Except on the radio show, I give too much away for nothing. I wonder how many people have made money off some of my ideas. I don't really care about some of the things. I mean, come on. I'm like a wheel that spins around and throws off sparks. And the sparks, if they trigger your imagination, good for you. Take it and run with it. That's all. I don't need every penny on the planet. I don't know why I'm even talking about it. I just don't want to talk about this threat right now. The girls screaming, the Yazidis and the little girls. Anyone who watches that, they're getting incensed. They want to know why Obama's not bombing ISIS. They want to know why Hillary's not mentioning the rape of these little girls. They want to know why the National Organization for Women is not mentioning the greatest travesty against women in our lifetime, ongoing on an industrial level, rape of young girls. They want to know why the UN, filled with those useless idiots, is saying virtually nothing. They want to know. They don't know the answer yet. 21 years I've been on the radio giving you the answer as to why liberalism, the mental disorder, will kill all of us. It's killing us right in front of our eyes. Killing the culture for sure, right? Isn't that what's going on? Isn't that what you're screaming about? Isn't that why you feel lost? Isn't that what's freaking you out, that the culture's being decimated? A homicide is being committed against American culture? Obama has committed homicide against our borders? Isn't that what's going on? Isn't that what you're screaming about? Isn't that why you feel lost? Isn't that what's freaking you out, that the culture's being decimated? The big guys with billions of dollars have never done better. Well, triple Dutch, triple Irish taxation. You know, Apple's never done better. Google's never done better. Hey, if you got your company headquartered in Ireland and you can keep 70% of your profits overseas and not pay your 39% fair share, or give Jerry Brown his 15%, what could be better? As long as you fund their campaigns, you can get away with virtually anything. That's called homicide, the homicide of reality, if you want to put it to you that way. So people are very upset because no one's representing them. No one's representing them. There's no politician other than Donald Trump who even comes near representing their fears and their concerns and their dreams, for that matter. And that's why he's soaring. And that's why Hillary is falling like a dead blimp. She's like, the old song Led Zeppelin. She is a Led Zeppelin. That Zeppelin, while it floated for a while, is basically very close to Earth. It needs its tethers right now to bring it down safely, because it's gone as high as it's going to go. They can't import voters fast enough to keep that Zeppelin afloat. Hey, do we have any Led Zeppelin music? I don't even know what they played, Robert. You know music. You're younger than me. I don't even know who the Led... I know this. I mean, I certainly know who the group is, but I don't remember what they made. What did they do with the Led Zeppelin? Didn't they do a couple of great big songs? Isn't it a great day today? Today is Wednesday, on the cusp of Christmas Eve day tomorrow. Friday is the day that America goes silent night, holy night. Chinese restaurants are filled with Jewish people. The old Muslim saying from a Muslim acquaintance of mine, actually, he owns a great restaurant in North Beach, Mo. He said, when Jews fast, Muslims starve, which is very funny, by the way. It's a very funny statement. I had never heard it before. I laughed. He said it to me in the restaurant while Lorenzo was still alive. I don't go in there anymore. I don't know what it is. There's nothing wrong with it. Food's good. If Lorenzo's not there, I don't want to go there. I go over to my friend Pinocchio, Giovanni, Sicilian restaurant. Great guy. I don't even go there anymore. I become a hermit. I hang out with Teddy. It's very agitating times, I got to tell you. It's not a time to have a great time right now. It's like nothing's really changed and everything's changed, right? I mean, the sky is blue, the clouds are white. Am I the only one who feels this? Is something wrong with me? Should I see a therapist? Should I get medicated for the first time in my life? I mean, aren't things just coming up roses? Isn't Obama doing great for America? Is there something wrong with me? You have a Led Zeppelin yet? Before I say anything I regret? You're still looking. I don't even know what they did. I'm just feeling good. Which is very dangerous, because once I feel good, I go into a manic phase. And in my manic phase, sometimes genius comes out. Sometimes I got to be careful of what comes out. So I got to be very cautious when I start to move into this curve, this part of the sine curve. Yesterday we talked about Tourette. Remember, that was a good show. I just slipped into it because it was a topic that had come up on TV, and I was interested in it. I knew nothing about it. I thought that was a fascinating show. It helped me in a certain way with my own issues. I swear to God, it's not like I have Tourette. I know that. But who doesn't have issues in their life that they've dealt with their whole life? And when you get older, you want to hear something, a little secret for those of you younger? The things that you think were not that important when you were younger that you buried, they're going to come back when you're older. They don't go away. They come back. Did you know that? People don't understand this. Unresolved problems that you think you moved past or buried, they're never buried. They come back up to the surface as you get older and you have time to think about them. So you kind of got to resolve them, incidentally. Still don't have Led Zeppelin? I'm very close to saying something I regret. You better play it right now, Robert. Go ahead. Come on, man. Hit the thing already. Can't play it. That is so not my brainwave today. Where are these guys today? In a nut house? Are they still living? Where are they? Boca Raton walking around on the beach with a transfusion tree and a toupee? Hair transplants? Where are these guys today? I look back on the 70s, the 60s, all these musicians, I used to envy them. I don't know. Are they still living? Bob Dylan's still alive. He looks like my grandmother. Looks like my grandmother Yentl. I don't know how he lives so long. He does look like my grandmother Yentl, and he's still performing, God bless him. I don't know how they do it with what they abuse their bodies with. Or you take the Rolling Stones, what's his name, Mick Jägermeister. Look at Mick Jagger. He's 102 years old. And the guy is still dancing like Jumping Jack Flash with what he's put in his veins? My God, how? How? He comes from that pirate stock that built the old Britain. That's how you look at him. He looks like an old pirate, doesn't he? Mick Jagger stock? Mick Jagger stock. He looks like one of the old pirates from the old days. The old days when they would kill everybody in the village and steal the gold. It's just genetic. I mean, they have this raw genetic power. The guy is what, 80, 79? They can still get up and do the thing? Unbelievable. Hey, do you have Jumping Jack Flash before I take a break soon? Take some calls, whatever. I don't know if I want to talk about this stuff anymore. I'd almost rather talk about Royal Dalton pottery or cuckoo clocks or Nancy Pelosi's meatball recipe, which was found in North Beach in a toilet bowl somewhere while Hillary was taking a break. I mean, I really do want to do stuff like that. It's one of the best recipes for meatballs ever discovered. After she left the restaurant, it was found on the restroom floor. That's right, after Hillary left, they found Nancy Pelosi's meatball recipe. Can't believe what's in it. You don't have Jumping Jack Flash? Complain. Let's just hear it. Doesn't do a thing for me. I got to go with how my brain is working. I am my brain. I am what's between in my skull. I mean, however my brain is transmitting, and it's transmitting in a different curve than that today. You know what I'm saying? The music's wrong. I don't even know what the right music would be. It wouldn't be classical. It wouldn't be Mozart's Requiem. You would think maybe. No, I'm not into a somber at all. No somber. And the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the nation had avenged themselves of their enemies. Joshua 13. And the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the nation had avenged themselves of their enemies. That, my friends, is the Bible, the Jewish Bible. And if people don't believe the Bible, that's to their own detriment. They cannot believe it or believe it. It doesn't matter to God. Believe me, he don't care whether you believe in him or not. I once said to a religious man, I said, if God is so great, Michael is cynical, why does he need us to get down on our knees and worship him? Why do we have to worship him if he's so wonderful and so great? He said, he doesn't need you to do that. You need to do that because you need to as a human being. That stood in my mind for a long time. Man needs to worship somebody greater than himself, or else he becomes Steven Spielberg, or worse yet, David Geffen. I'll be right back. All right, my friends on the West Coast. Streak of light in western U.S. skies sends social media abuzz. A streak of light is seen over an apartment building in Las Vegas yesterday. U.S. military officials said the streak of light seen burning across the sky by people in 3 western states was the body of a Russian rocket, which burned up as it entered the Earth's atmosphere. Russian rocket. SL-4 rocket body booster from Russia that launched Monday. U.S. Strategic Command spokesmouth Julie Ziegenhorn, part of the sorority. Notice everywhere in the military now it's a girl. And there's nothing wrong with women, but everywhere you turn. No more men. No men, no more representing the military. Now it's girls and sorority girls. Julie Ziegenhorn, U.S. Strategic Command. That really makes ISIS shake in their boots when they see another girl get up there and speak about military affairs. Nothing wrong with brave women. Some of them are very brave, braver than I, tougher than I. I mean, look at the martial arts field. I wouldn't want to be in a ring with her, would you, Robert? Mysterious bright light seen from Las Vegas to Ventura was Russian rocket body, says U.S. Strategic Command sorority girl, Julie Ziegenhorn. No one discussed the rocket's use. Launched as part of a project to bring materials to a space station. I love talking about the space station when you liberal morons have forgotten what Obama did within the first month of his presidency when he tried to uncouple America from its greatness, the snake, the fang. He killed NASA, killed our space rockets program. He made U.S. astronauts ride on Russian rockets, having to pay fees to ride up to our own International Space Station. That's what Obama did to make sure that we would go backwards in space technology. That's what he did. One of the first things he did was destroy our abilities in space. Can you believe this? He let China and Russia get way ahead of us. And now he's continuing to do what he did in space here on terrestrial Earth. Right here on terrestrial Earth. Well, what's the difference, though? He's good to various and sundry minority communities. That's all that matters. Good to illegal immigrants. That's all that matters. That's the main thing. The rest is nonsense. It's all part of hate from the right. The right cares about those things, no one else. Yeah. So it was a Russian rocket, huh? I didn't even see it. I missed it. Rocket's body. Did you catch that, Robert? I didn't see it go down. A body of a Russian rocket. Las Vegas? I wasn't in Las Vegas. That's when the woman for unknown reasons ran into the crowd. They still haven't released the reason. Lashenka. She jumped the curb and ran people over like bowling pins. And the sheriff wouldn't tell us why she did it. They interviewed her. Remember that story? Yeah, that came and went real fast. Everyone said, was it terrorism? No, absolutely not terrorism. Was it anything related to you-know-what? No. Nothing to do with Muslims. And what was it now? What'd she do it for? She's just a plain nut? Yeah. Plain gangbanger nut. Hated people. That's what we're told. We don't know to this day. I mean, blogs are suggesting otherwise, but the police today have been caping eyes, so you're never going to get an answer. That's all.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now. 855-400-SAVAGE. 855-400-7282. Savage.
Big deal. Again, the music doesn't do a thing for me today. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's December 23rd, whatever. We got some great callers. We got some great sound. You can call at 855-400-7282. Oh, the Sanders. I woke up in the middle of the night imitating Sanders, and I started to laugh at 3 in the morning. The dog didn't know what was wrong. I was actually creating a bit for you today, which I forgot about, and I didn't write it down. My old methodology is to write down ideas and jokes, and I forgot. I had such great stuff. Okay, so maybe this will trigger it. Robert, play clip 6, Colonel Sanders.
Donald Trump is very upset. It's very hard for him to deal with. I don't know what his relationship with women has been in his life, but he has discovered that women go to the bathroom. And it's been very upsetting for him. I got to be honest with you. Got to lay it out on the table. I also went to the bathroom. I know.
Saturday Night Live, this morons?
I guess I'm a man. Men are allowed to go to the bathroom, but women, what can we say?
This is what it's come down to. This loser couldn't work in Katz's Deli in the French fry department. Only in America could this loser from the gutter of the left wing be brought up like he's a real candidate when we know he's a stooge for Hillary. This loser. I can't do it. I cannot channel him. I was going to imitate him and Colonel Sanders all in one and something like that. I got to do it like, I used to write these things down. I think it was something like this when it's coming back to me. I can't, I'm trying to channel it. If I don't do it right, it'll be bad, but it's on the natch. I didn't rehearse it. I am Bernie Sanders, and I want to make it very, very clear that contrary to the rumors, Colonel Sanders is not my relative what at all. Number one, Colonel Sanders and I are not related. The chickens are not kosher. That's number one. They're not going to change. Although I am not practicing Jew, I certainly would not eat a non-kosher chicken that Colonel Sanders is selling. That's number one. Number two, it is said that he was from the South. If you look at his beard, you'll know he is a racist of the type that I would never associate with. You can see the Confederate flag dripping all over his chicken fat. And so I have nothing to do with Colonel Sanders, no matter what they may be saying on the bigoted Republican side. That was part of it, something like that. Cheerio, Michael. Very good. Okay, let's take a call. Joe on WABC. Go ahead, please.
Dr. Savage, I've been listening to you for over 10 years. I'm 35 years old. I love the show. I appreciate what you do. So first off, thank you very much, sir. I want to make a comment on why I think Trump is going to do well with blacks and Hispanics. But before I do, I got to say, I'm looking at these photos of this skinny, effeminate freak trekking up the anthill in Hawaii. And I got to say, I'm looking at this guy's outfit, And I kind of feel like he's buying his clothing from an ISIS catalog. Man has everything but the head.
Who are we talking about? Fang the surfer?
I mean, this guy's in the tropics, and he's wearing an all-black outfit, climbing up.
Where is this picture of him appearing of Obama on vacation? I can't find it. I want to see it.
I saw it on the Mail Online.
Oh wow! How do they get these pictures in England and we don't get them here? There's like a complete and total blackout here. Sorry to use a word like that, but there's a blackout about this guy.
I mean, not only that, there's people on there taking selfies with him. You see the security walking around him. I mean, this guy's prancing up a hill, and everyone's on there talking about how he's so physically fit. He looks like a skinny wimp. I mean, he's an embarrassment, absolute embarrassment.
All right, but let's forget skinny or fat. It's his politics that offend us, not that, right?
He's weak in general. He's just weak in general. His body type reflects his politics.
But how weak can Obama be if he's gotten away with virtually everything that he wanted to achieve? How weak can he be?
Well, that just shows the weak minds of the politicians that unfortunately we...
Okay, you make a good point. In other words, the other side is weaker.
Of course.
And when you own McClatchy and AP, when you own the Islamic Republic Wire and Scripps Howard, and you own Gannett, and you own the others, I mean, it makes you very strong, doesn't it?
Of course. It's easy to win when the other side is pulling for you.
So what is your main point? Is that Trump is a strong man and you think that's why he appeals to African Americans?
Well, I think there's a couple different things. I think number one for the African American community, number one, Trump is self-made. I think they respect the fact he's a hustler. He's surrounded by beautiful women his entire life.
I like that. That's good. He's a hustler and he's surrounded by beautiful women. That's a good enough reason to vote for him.
And for lack of a term, he's covered in blanket.
That's a good reason. That's a good reason. It's better than other reason. So he's a hustler and he's surrounded by beautiful women.
I mean, his politics are just icing on the cake.
You're funny. You must be in entertainment.
No, sir. I do outside sales.
You must be very successful selling stuff because you're funny.
Well, and as far as the Hispanics go, I've looked around Latin cultures, and in Italy or any Hispanic culture, the Latin, they really do favor the male. And he's a strong man, and also
so you're confirming that it's a macho culture, that the Latino culture is a very macho culture, which is why they are gravitating to Trump, right? And they're never going to vote for Hillary. The Latino men will not vote for her. They don't like a matriarchy. They don't like a woman dictating to them, especially, I'm sorry, a Caucasian woman. Am I wrong about that?
Not at all.
No, I know people. You see, this is why I survive. I know what people think, never mind what they say in the newspapers. That's only one reflection of some people's realities, but it's not the ultimate reality. All right, I'm sending you a copy for Christmas of Government Zero. I hope you enjoy it. It won't be there till next week because virtually everyone is on vacation except me. People are vacationing as they should. They're normal. They're away with the family. So as I said, if you missed it, I'll be here, not tomorrow. I'll be here not Friday. It's like saying, we have best ofs, though. Don't worry about it. You'll still hear your master's voice tomorrow and Friday. We're not playing Christmas music. We're playing best ofs. I can't wait to hear them. I shouldn't, but I do. I listen to them. I have guys like scrubbing them for any kind of snorts and sniffles and food going down the wrong pipe during them. I eat during a show. I can't help it. When my show shifted, originally my show was for 18, 19 years. I did a show in the afternoons on the West Coast, 3 to 6. So on the East Coast, it was 6 to 9. It was like a normal, for me, so I could have a lunch, and I'd eat lunch at 1, take a nap, and do my show at 3. It worked fine. Now, when it shifted 3 years ago, it's noon to 3 on the West Coast, 3 to 6 on the East, and it was done so I could be in the biggest markets there are during drive time. Because after 6, they're considered night shows. That's just the way radio is. And the fact is, it's thrown my schedule off. It's hard to eat. So I have to eat during a show. And that affects my delivery. Sometimes I shouldn't eat on the show. I want doing crazy things with food. My appetite's upside down. But anyway, here I am. So Thursday, Friday off, LA Friday. Monday, I will be luckily, hopefully, God willing, doing a show live. My first show live from a brand new studio in L.A. It's actually my 4th studio in L.A. I had other home studios in Los Angeles. I was on Franklin Street. I had a studio. For a couple of years I used it. I loved it. I used to look down at Century City. I'm one of those people who like L.A. Then I had a studio in another hidden location in Beverly Hills, which I did for years, liked it. So this is the third. I think the third. And this one is also got a little city view. I like the L.A. scene. It's just a dynamic. I'll go to the museum, LACMA. I like the Los Angeles County Museum of Art. It's got an amazing collection of great paintings. And then, the restaurant scene is interesting if you like going out where it's not so much the food, but the show. The show. It's like show. Everyone's show and tell in L.A. And everyone knows it. Everyone's pending a deal and this a deal and that. You go into places like Dantana's, which I love. I may not go. It's too crowded. The food is really exceptionally good. Very hard to get into. It's, kind of a B-list Hollywood place that used to be an A-list place that B-listers and D-listers and no-listers think is still an A-lister. And they think they're lucky if they can get in and pay through that. Whatever. I don't care. The food is great. The marinara sauce tastes like New York did in the 50s. Or it may taste like today in Toronto, for all I know. I don't know, but it tastes like Italian food. And the prawns are big. The prawns are big, and I don't know where they get them from, but they're not like the little sewer shrimp. So that's a scene. But everyone's telling the guy next to him what they're working on, what deal they're working on, and they don't stop. For an hour straight, they spritz the other guy. And it's usually a guy takes people to the dinner who they can lord it over for 2 straight hours and talk. They spritz the other guys for 2 straight hours. They're telling him deals, and the other guy's nodding and eating the salad. Can't wait to get home. Or you get the 60-year-old with the 30-year-old girlfriend, where her eyes are looking all over the restaurant, and he's Googling her the entire time, and and he's staring at her, and she's looking all around the restaurant, praying to God it's over sooner rather than later. I like the people watch in L.A. At least people are dynamically available for viewing when I go to L.A. San Francisco, everyone's it's so pseudo-cool, you don't even know what they're doing because they're like, whatever, I don't have to put it down. I don't go out for that reason. There's no entertainment value. I'd rather get a carton than eat it in the house. There's nothing to see. No one entertains me in San Francisco. No one puts on a show in a restaurant. There's no showtime. What's the point of it? What, the food? I can take a sauce out of a jar and make a better sauce than most of the sauces in the Italian restaurants in San Francisco. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry. I have guys now that poison me when I go in their restaurant. I have a jar. I open it up. And I put it on some meat. I put it on some organic grass-fed meat. What's wrong with that? Oh, but then I add to it. I put paprika in the winter. Then I put in red pepper in the winter. Then I put a lot of oregano in the winter. And stuff like that. Or if I'm making chicken, I'm going to a recipe now. The number one and most important spice in chicken cooking is tarragon. Oh, I learned that 15 years ago. Tarragon takes away that gamey, that call it. What do you think they call it foul for? Where do you think the word foul came from? F-O-W-L, it could be F-O-U-L. Especially if it's Colonel Sanders. But anyway, it's fried. Eat fried, you can't smell anything. That's like Bernie Sanders himself. He's like a fried chicken himself. You can't actually smell who he is. But the thing is that tarragon takes away that foul smell. And when you're cooking, very important. But the sauce from a jar is better than most restaurants. Then I put in the garlic and I joke around. I tell Teddy jokes. You put in your sausage, Teddy. You put in your wang. I imitate Fat Clemenza the other night. I had a ball. I was entertaining my dog. I put on a whole show while making chicken cacciatore in my own house. And you put in your wang. You put, he didn't. What is that? Their dog. What do they know? They're like they're built-in companions. You put in your sausage. You put in your wine. You put in your sugar. I don't put in the sugar. I said, Teddy, we don't put in sugar. We don't want diabetes and cancer. Where are we already? 1:45? My, the show is flying. I reluctantly see the hours going by. I reluctantly see the show going by. This feels like a Friday to me. Doesn't it feel like a Friday? It's like tomorrow is really Thanksgiving, but it isn't. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve. It's not actually the day when they open the gifts on Friday when I'm flying because I have no gifts to give or get. It's good being it's good kind of being it's good not having to do that stuff on Friday. But the planes are wide open. No one's flying on Friday. I found it's like a fluke. You don't want to go Thursday because everyone who's like doesn't really get along with their family is flying on Thursday. They're going the last minute. Like the last second they're flying to like Indiana. to see the folks. They know, dying to get home already before they're getting as high as a kite to get on the plane because they can't wait to come home already. But Friday's wide open. Every flight was open, so I'm going to go that way. A little bag on the head flight on Southwest with the bad jokes and no honey peanuts, which I can't eat. Who ruined peanuts with honey? What idiot decided to like roast peanuts in sugar, a sugar bath? What's wrong with them? I ask myself. I eat a pretzel, that's all. Okay, I'll be back in a minute.
As sure as night is dark and day is light, I keep you on my mind both day and night. And happiness I've known proves that it's right, because you're mine.
I got the pictures in the Daily Mail. He's shrinking. Fang is shriveling up. It's on a weight loss regime or something. The guy is, I'm worried about him. President of the United States looks like he's shrinking. Shriveling up there on the trail. What trail is he on? In Hawaii. I forget the trail. Cocoa Head. Selfie at the top of Cocoa Head. Cocoa Head. I know Cocoa Head. But he's very skinny. I don't get this. I know it's a stressful job. I mean, if you're spending day and night trying to dismember a nation that's been so good to you, it must be very stressful. Especially if you have no conscience about what you're doing and no one there to tell you, hey, back off a little bit, man. Look what you're doing. But, it's a stressful job with all that golf and meeting all those lobbyists day and night. I mean, it wears you out. Takes weight off you, melts off you. You're talking about weight loss diet. Melt down the country that's been good to you. Meet with lobbyists around the clock and play golf. You'll lose a lot of weight. John on KSFO, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Michael, Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
Indeed.
So, what's on your mind today, John?
Well, I got a couple of things. First of all, some would say that yours is a train of consciousness, and I agree, but I'd also add it's really the new Chautauqua, and I want to tell you I really appreciate it.
Whoa. You mean my format is the new Chautauqua? Yes,
you and what you do is the new Chautauqua, don't you know?
What is Chautauqua? What is Chautauqua?
My understanding is it's much like the variety of the Catskills and up in the Adirondacks.
Thank you. I thought it was something highbrow and classy. Okay, I'm depressed now. But what's your real question, John?
The intelligence you bring to it makes it such.
Okay, that's kind of you. But quick, we only have a half a minute. Fire away.
A minute. Curious what... A few months ago, you mentioned you bought a mantle set of clocks, so I imagine that's a couple of candles and maybe a marble-based...
Exactly. I collect French bronze, preferably doré bronze, clock sets. That would be a clock with a pendulum. You wind them up, and then two candelabra next to them. They're beautiful. So are you buying things like that or not?
Well, I'm more into Howard's and Seth Thomas's and...
well, I'm a clock nut. In fact, my novel, Abuse of Power, is all about a guy with clocks. I'm sorry I can't continue on this train. We're out of time.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation. Talk radio for the thinking person, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
For millions of American workers, people in New Hampshire, all over America, they're working longer hours for low wages, deeply worried about their kids. So what do? First statement we make is we tell the billionaire class they cannot have it all. For a start, they're going to start paying their fair share of taxes.
Your fair share of taxes. Okay, Bernie, so you mean Microsoft? You mean your friend Bill Gates is going to pay his fair share of taxes? You mean Schmidt of Google's going to pay his fair share of taxes? You mean Mark Zuckerberg, your good friend, is going to pay his fair share of taxes? No, you don't mean that. What you mean is BS. You're nothing but a BS artist. Colonel Sanders is to be more trusted than you are, Bernie. At least his chicken is fried all the way through. All right, Matt, KSFO, welcome. You're on the Savage Nation. You're a Bernie supporter. Why?
Michael, I tell you what, we should all get behind that guy. He talks through his nose and his ears and blah, blahs on. But I don't believe he's any kind of a threat to the awesome Mr. Trump. I think not another.
Well, that's interesting. You know, it's done that way where Republicans who can cross over in a primary should vote for Bernie to make it a Trump versus Bernie campaign, because it would be capitalism versus communism. That's a 90-10 win for Trump.
Yeah. I'd say, you know, how they
that's a brilliant idea. So if you're in a district that permits an open primary, Republicans should vote in Democrat primaries and put Bernie in as the candidate. That would be hilarious. Then America could actually see what percentage of the people support communism. 90-10 top. All right, You get a copy of Government Zero for that brilliant suggestion. Thanks for calling. 855-407-282. That's all. Any topic is fair game. We finished up on the other horrible topics earlier. I don't want to get stuck in them again. If you want to see horror, go to michaelsavage.com if you want to have a disgusting holiday and see the Yazidi girls being torn away from their parents by the subhumans in ISIS as they take them to rape chambers and trade them for packs of cigarettes and then shoot their fathers. The families being powerless to stop their daughters being stolen from them, their beautiful, pure daughters, as young as 8 years of age, raped by these subhumans. And Hillary, the defender of womanhood, says nothing. The thin man on the hike in Hawaii, the shrinking man in Hawaii, nothing to say about ongoing kidnaps, rapes, and slavery. It's sickening. Just sickening. I mean, the nightmare, how any Jew can watch this and not scream in a temple, shut your mouth and listen to me. See, every Jew in America should understand that when you say never again, it should be more than just the Jewish people saying never again to Hitler. It should be you saying never again to tyranny like this for any people on the earth. But you don't hear it coming from Abe Foxman of any of the Jewish organizations. None of them. In fact, the opposite is true. Here's the shocking part about liberal Jewish organizations. And I'm sorry to have to be the one to say this. They are in bed with Hillary Clinton 100% of the way, and they say nothing about the threat of radical Islam. Not one word comes out of the mouths of any of these organizations about the rapes and the murders in the Middle East. Nothing. Instead, they attack Trump. That's the God-honest truth. It's sickening to be living through this. I thought that if we woke up one day and we saw genocide being committed against people on the earth, rape, industrial scale rape of young girls, the world would stand up and say, we're stopping this. We're sending in whatever's necessary. We're sending in 10,000 or 100,000 troops into that city, and they're going to kill ISIS members. They're going to kill every last one of them. They're not bringing them back to justice. They find them on the battlefield. They have a new writ of orders. Kill them. Kill them. They're not bringing them back. No prisoners. Kill them all. Kill them all. And no, but it isn't happening. Instead, the thin man is on a hike in Hawaii, eating a Slurpee, taking selfies on Cocoa Head. That's what we're putting up with now. And the media's asleep, of course, because they're owned by the same machine. That's all. So we talked about that. I don't want to talk about it again. It's sickening. What do I want to talk about? Somalia cancels Christmas because it threatens Islamic culture. It's a very accepting organization. Islam is very accepting when it has the power. American on the front line, Kurds pleading for U.S. help to destroy ISIS. Michael Savage newsletter, beware of Obama's final year of absolute power. Michael Savage's new book, Government Zero, hits number 3 on the New York Times bestseller list. Still time to peruse one at the local bookstore. Muslim who wanted to join ISIS once worked as baggage handler at Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport. Muslim American teen indicted for aiding ISIS. U.S. Muslim group announces campaign to fight Islamophobia after San Bernardino slaughter. Oh, yeah. ISIS seeking improvised anti-aircraft missile. Let's see what else. Asian Muslim nation bans Christmas. Yeah, I'm not going to the Beverly Hills Hotel because of that one. Not even for a coffee. Dubai owns it. Forget about it. I'll get a coffee and Kentucky Fried Chicken before I go in there again. And remember I had a show the other day about the Assyrian army? I had the guy on who runs the military for them, fighting against the maniacs. You can help the persecuted Christians through the United Assyrian Appeal. It's on michaelsavage.com. That's, it's all for you to look at. Now, what do you want to talk about? Let's get some new calls up there, Clint. I need as many new calls as I can get. We absolutely have to get new callers as soon as possible. Many new callers as possible on the Savage Nation. This pre-Christmas show. It's absolutely positive that we have to have new callers as soon as possible. Because if you want to do a show, you have to have callers. Especially your show, because your show has a lot of callers on it. They're not all right-wing nuts. In fact, every one of them could vote for me if they wanted to, because I am not exactly a left-winger. I'm a total independent communist. And I stand for absolutely nothing. That's exactly why I got so far in Vermont, because the people are all stoned on maple syrup. They've been eating that maple syrup and it went to their head. They don't know who I am, what I am. They're afraid to be calling a bigots. They voted for me. I pulled the wool over their eyes. A bunch of morons in Vermont. That's how I became a senator. A man like me in my day never could have even worked in a delicatessen selling French fries. But in Vermont, I became a senator. Now I could be a president. God only knows. I don't know what I want to do here. I don't want to do nasty stories about how horrible the world is, right? Can we go in another direction? Do I have any sound that is not going to trigger any kind of rage in me? Every piece of sound that you guys got is enraging. Here is a clown on CNN named Don Lemon. He wanted me on my show with my book. I refused to go on. Don Lemon looks like a nice guy who, let's put it to you this way. If you were buying a light bulb in a hardware store and you look by watts, 170 for three-way light bulb, 50, 100, 150, 200-watt bulb maximum. This is like a 30-watter. He's like a 30-watt bulb max on one click. Here is clip number 1, Don Lemon, and clip 1 on the Savage Nation.
Mr. Schlichter, what do you think of that, Kurt?
Don, it's going to take a lot more for me to get upset at a woman who enabled a guy who turned the Oval Office into a frat house and his intern into a humidor. I just don't care. I so don't care.
Absolutely.
I would need Stephen Hawking to find the theoretical limit of how little I care about Donald Trump's silly jokes.
Absolutely, Kurt.
This hypocritical, pearl-clutching nonsense.
Have you ever heard a presidential candidate say things like this?
No, but I know of a president who,
all right, that's very funny. That's enough. It's too long. He cut off conservative commentator Schlichter, who's very funny, by the way. I never heard of this guy. We should get him to fill in. I don't want him. He's too much of a threat. He sounds too smart to fill in for me. Hillary Clinton, Trump's vulgarity is no shock, right? She knows about vulgarity, that's for sure. She knows about vulgarity. I mean, with her husband, the Wolfman. This woman is an expert on vulgarity. Okay, we got Sanders mocking Trump. Care and Company warn candidates spew Islamophobia. Okay, again Islamophobia. Can't these Muslim front groups stop it already with the fake victimhood? Can they cut it out already? Maybe they can make believe they're Americans for one day and get on the side of the victims instead of pretending that they're offended by it. Pelosi, oh, this is an important one. I played it yesterday. I was the only one in radio who caught this, and we culled it for you. All of you talk show hosts are on vacation listening to me right now. Make a note of it and tell your producers to get it for next 2 weeks from now when you come back. This is so good. I want to ruin your vacations when you listen to this. It's so good that you're going to have to send an emergency text to your producers to get this soundbite. Right after Pelosi gave away, Paul Ryan, the Quisling, who is running a puppet Democrat party inside the Republican Party. After the Quisling Ryan gave away the store, Pelosi was overheard saying this in clip 10. Listen carefully.
I think our success with our members is that in the Republicans' obsession with lifting the oil export ban, they really gave away the store. Democrats were able to strip our scores and scores of poison pills, destructive poison pills, some of which they had to have, which they ended up with not having.
So Pelosi let it slip that the lobbyists inside the Republican wing of the American machine were obsessed only with coal. That would be McConnell, the liar. Remember how tough McConnell was until the coal thing came up? And all of a sudden he suddenly became a dummied up for the Democrats ever since they gave him the coal? 6 months ago. Now they lifted the oil ban on the import-export ban for the oil magnates, and that was the end of it. Then they threw the country to the wolves. They let the Democrat, socialist, thieving wolves take the country away from us, we the people. Remember in the dim past, we're talking, what era was that? 1890s, 1910, 20, the robber barons. We heard about robber barons who existed in America, the original Rockefeller, Vanderbilt. Remember they were known as robber barons? Well, that term robber barons applies today. And they would be those in the upper reaches of the internet fortunes who pay no taxes or very low taxes by using trickery such as the Triple Irish, where they set their dummy companies up in Ireland and they don't pay U.S. taxes on $70, $100 billion in income. They would be the robber barons of today. Agree with me or not? I'll be back in a minute. There's a big story on Newsmax right now, which goes along with what I've been telling you, that Latinos are on to Hillary's fetid campaign. Latinos scold Hillary on Twitter, "You're not my abuela." You see, she had one of her sorority friends come up with the idea that she should sell herself as America's grandmother. And she's pitching her grandmotherness as one of the most important things on her Spanish, to our Spanish audience, to Hispanic voters. And a backlash is gaining steam on Twitter under the hashtags, not my abuela and Hispandering, which one poster grousing the website pitches anything but subtle. And they're selling, I could just cut it out. They said it's baiting. You're baiting us. And they say that another complaint, she never got to go to her own grandmother's funeral. Well, you get the picture. She's trying to make believe that she's courting Hispanic voters by making believe she's their grandmother. And talking about that. And the great champion of womanhood says nothing about the rapes, murders, and slavery of young girls in the Middle East by Muslims. Now, the Latinos apparently don't care about that, but they don't like being pandered to. Now, a Univision poll in July said that 73% of Latino voters would cast a ballot for Clinton. I don't believe a word of it. Univision is a distortion. A total distortion. A Washington Post ABC News survey in September found her strongly favored by voters of color. Really? Do the polls again. And here's what you're going to find out. That, quote, voters of color, which, by the way, unto itself is offensive to me as a white man. But let's use the phrase that the liberals use. Voters of color, the ones who would not vote for her would be ashamed to answer a pollster and say, I'll vote for Trump. But they're going to vote for Trump. They hate her. In the 2008 presidential primary in which she was schlonged, as Trump indelicately phrased it, Clinton won 2-1 among Latinos, the Post reports. In the 2008 presidential primary, in which she was schlonged, as Trump indelicately phrased it, I'm quoting now, Clinton won 2-1 among Latinos, the Post reports. Yeah, but that was then. This is now. There was no Trump. He's changed the quotient. Minorities love him. Blacks and Hispanics love him. I told you why. You're not going to read this. What do you think? Jake Tapper of Pravda is going to tell you that? Trump is going to win. He's going to win blacks. He's going to win Hispanics. He's not alienated Hispanics, despite his statement on immigrants. And you know why? Because Hispanics don't want people walking across the border and taking jobs that would otherwise go to them. That's why. But don't tell that to those in Pravda. And the same is true for African Americans. I said that over and over again. Who do you think is being damaged most by the millions of illegal aliens that the FANG is bringing in? The illegals that FANG is flooding across the border. If there's a limited amount of money for social services and people are poor, why would they want competitors for that money? They don't. So they also oppose illegal immigration. Black or Hispanic or the poor whites would rather have Trump. And they know he's a businessman who made his fortune on his own. And they know she's nothing. She never worked a day in her life. Has Hillary Clinton ever built a business or a service that anyone ever used? Tell me, is there a tower anywhere in America built with the name Hillary on it? Is there a bridge or a building or a roadway that she ever built? Nothing. She's nothing but a politician. As such, she has contributed nothing to our society. So they'd rather have a businessman. Because one thing poor people know is that a person in business just might make things better for them by creating jobs, For example, Bernie Ward, they don't Bernie whatever his name is, then no one pays attention to him. He's a jokester. They know he's just a fraud put up to make Hillary look centrist. They're not going to vote for a schmendrick like him. Why would a poor person want to vote for a schmuck who's going to take away money from people? I think, is he going to give it to them? Oh, like Obama did? Oh, yeah, Obama robbed from the rich and gave to the richer. Hello. Write that one down. Obama's like a reverse of Robin Hood. Robbed from the rich and gave to the richer. That's my opinion. 855-407-2882 is the phone number, michaelsavage.com. I'm still on the air, despite your attempts to get... They said it could never last a day. It's 21 years later. No, for the day I started, they tried to... You can't believe what I've had to put up with. No, God must be involved with this. It's got to be. I hope I could use him right now. God, if you're listening, I need you to intervene right now because impediments, stumbling blocks are in the way. I'll be back right here. Be here.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282.
It is clear that the West is killing itself. Sweden to use cruise ships to house refugees. Refugees streaming into Sweden are being given an unusual housing option, a cruise ship. Some 1,260 asylum seekers will be offered shelter aboard the ship. The Swedish migration agency, known as whatever, struck the deal with the ship's owner and said the move is odd. It's nothing. It's nothing we're used to. It's new for Sweden, and it's also new for the shipping industry. So they're taking all of the Muslims who invaded Sweden, and they're now putting them on a cruise ship to give them a nice vacation, while poor Swedes have to keep working. Isn't that nice? Isn't liberalism a wonderful way of life? You take the poorest in Sweden, and you let them live in abject poverty, and then you take invaders and you put them on a cruise ship. I can't wait to see what happens on that cruise ship when you pack 1,260 of them on a cruise. I can't wait to see. Sweden has an awful lot of female blonde workers. I cannot wait to see what goes on that ship. I guess they'll have to change the menu as well for their sensitive newcomers. Yes, indeedy, liberalism is a mental disorder of a severe level. Let's take some callers on the Savage Nation. WBAP. Yeah, can I announce that now? What's happening on BAP? When is that happening, Robert? I'm sorry to tell you that my show is moving in Dallas from WBAP, as it were, across the street to KLIF for reasons I do not understand. And I want all of my loyal listeners in Dallas to know I can still be found in the city on KLIF. I have no idea why this was done. They gave me the third hour. It's moving. It's doing very well. I have no idea, but it's not my decision. Sorry, but I'll be on KLIF. I used to be on that station, by the way, years ago. So my Dallas listeners, that's where I will be. Mike on WBAP. Welcome to the Savage Nation. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. It's an honor and privilege to speak with you. I've been a staunch listener for you for years, and I love Trump. Here's the problem I have. I drive for a living. I meet an awful lot of people, and unfortunately, the most of them that I do speak to, the Hispanics, the blacks, and the Asians, are not for Trump. They think more of him as a bully, and like that stupid Clinton, which I can't stand her for anything, but they look at her. They look at him as almost like a comedian. And
okay, but what do you mean? They like Hillary? They're buying her act?
No, they don't like her, but they don't like Trump. And
okay, so it's the lesser of two evils. They'd rather have a corrupt woman than a successful, let's say, businessman that they don't like.
I don't agree with it either, and I think they're going to mostly move towards Cruz. I think Cruz is going to end up getting it. And I don't want to see that. I like Trump, and I like his ideas.
Wait, are you saying if Cruz wins the Republican primary, he would have a better chance with minorities than Trump?
From everybody that I speak to.
Okay. I'm not fighting with you. I'm just asking.
Vice president, because that's where he would get the vote from the Hispanics and Asians probably.
What, all because of his name is Cruz? That's enough to get your vote? Of course it is.
Well, you got to remember, I'm living in Texas here, and he's from Texas, and he's real.
I know. It's so amazing, racial politics, ethnic politics in America. It's not a new phenomenon. I mean, in New York, why were there so many candidates who are of a particular ethnic group? Why? Because the ethnic group dominated the city. That's all. People tend to vote with their own ethnic group, incidentally. That's an old American fact of reality. There's nothing new under the sun with that. Ethnic groups vote for their ethnic group. You go and watch a boxing match, and you have a fight between an African American and a Hispanic, and you have an audience of Hispanic and African Americans, you'll find racially it's divided by their race. Am I right? That's why they pit them against each other. The same in politics. The same in politics. All right, Mike, Merry Christmas to you. A copy of the great bestseller, Government Zero, goes out to you. It won't arrive in time for Christmas, but you'll have it in time for New Year's Eve. Why you should leave cookies, not carrots, for Santa's reindeer on Christmas? That's ridiculous. That's absurd. Santa's reindeer. That's absurd. I'd rather talk about men's shoes than talk about Hillary Clinton. It'd be more interesting for me to talk about whether you prefer laces or loafers than Hillary Clinton or Ted Cruz. Can we let this go for a minute? No, you won't let it go. Everyone wants to talk about the election. That's all you want to talk about. John on WABC, thanks for holding. What's on your mind, John? John, are you still there? Okay, go ahead. Fire away. You're on the radio. Go ahead, please.
This is the most auspicious and heralded occasion to make your acquaintance.
Yeah, right.
About the same vintage. And the thing I enjoy about your sense of humor, you guys I'm from the West Coast, but you guys from the part of New York that you're from, you just have this wicked sense of humor that I really like. You're smart and funny, and you're in there with Joan Rivers, Jackie Mason.
That's some compliment to put me in with Joan Rivers. She's dead. Jackie Mason's a corpse, but thank you very much for putting me in their league.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you can't keep up with you guys.
No, Jackie is still good. I love the guy. He's old and he's slow, but he's sharp as a tack.
Oh, yeah, and Don Rickles. Yeah, he's
another one dead. Is he still alive, too? You're putting me into the graveyard already.
No, I don't know.
Well, all I need is a transfusion tree and false teeth to go with this call. Mike, I love you, and then you're skewing me.
I'm right there with you.
Hey, no, I don't. It does. If you enjoy the show, that's the main thing. I'm sending you a copy of Government Zero. Teddy, you hear the insults I just had to put up with? What a man has to do for a living with my intelligence and my success level? What I had to just put up with, Teddy? You hear? Would you take that as a dog? He just woke up, Teddy. He's looking up saying, you let that guy get away with that? That was pretty good. Mike, I'm 95. I'm in your age bracket, and I think you're wonderful. You're like all the dead comedians I grew up with. That was fantastic. I'm in a good mood, though. I'm jolly. I'm putting on weight from the stress I'm under. Horrible. I mean, with what Obama's doing to the country, I'm eating a lot. I'm drinking too much. I'm not exercising. The rain has got me. Oh, but you're going to have the weather in the East soon. Don't fall for the global warming. Everyone in the East, it's a heat wave and the global warming. Wait, the weather we just had through here, the storm that's raging across, will hit you in 2-3 days. Maybe you'll have a white New Year's Eve. I can't even say that. Wait a minute. I mean, maybe you'll have a white Christmas. Can't say that. Wait a minute. Maybe you'll have a snowy Christmas. Or maybe you'll have a winter Christmas. Can't say white Christmas anymore. I'm dreaming of a snowy Christmas. Can't say white Christmas, Teddy. That offends certain people. Actually, when you think about it, I said this years ago, I think eventually that school children will not be able to color clouds white. I think that the white crayon has to be thrown out of the Crayola pack. It has white privilege all over it. Think about it. If you have a kid in the first grade and you want to condition him to be a good American, would you want him to have white crayons? No, because the first thing he's going to do is use the white to color in clouds. Why would a just God make a cloud white? Why? What does he want? White privilege even in the sky? You should make it a rainbow cloud. The colors of Benetton. That's the kind of clouds we need. And I think if Obama really wanted to show that he cares about equality for all, he would talk to God, who obviously he's on equal terms with, and he would tell God to make certain that the clouds are, let us say, no longer purely white. Because it's offensive to others. And the small children are hurt that they have to use a white crayon to paint white clouds. And then while you're at it, the snowmen. I mean, let's no longer ever have snowmen. You cannot have snowmen because look at that. That's offensive. Isn't a snowman offensive, Robert? Doesn't it hurt the feelings of certain children to see a snowman made of snow? I mean, really, you gotta have reality now. Let's face reality. Snow is offensive. Clouds are offensive. And while you're at it, Mr. Obama, the White House, I mean, forget about it. Do a hashtag on that one. I think you need to repaint the White House. That is so utterly offensive. I mean, it was built, as you well know, during the age of white dominance in America. And so it's time to change it from the White House to the something house and change the color, for God's sakes. Like, paint it purple. That would go along with your presidency. The color purple, that's the color of the White House. Got to make it appealing to a larger audience. You don't want to offend people. I think about everywhere I look now, I'm really offended. My paper that I write on, it's white. Look at this. I got to get rid of it. I don't want to be seen as a racist in any way. I buy reams of paper for my copy machine. White. Why is it white paper? Who came up with that? I really don't understand this. Who created all of this? Look at this. I want to paint. I have to paint on white paper. Who said so? Why can't I paint on dark paper? Why can't I buy a pack of paints, for example, with dark paper for my watercolors? This is how crazy liberalism has become. This is how insane it is. It's beyond George Orwell. Teddy, I want to tell you this. If George Orwell were alive today, he'd be on Prozac. He would not be able to take what this country has become under these maniacs who have ruined our society. I need some music, guys. Come on, let's get some music here. Let's get some old rock and roll. I'm what was known in the old days as a tumbler in a way. As smart as I can be, sometimes I just like to entertain people and keep them going in these horrible times. The horrible, horrible times. People are so messed up and so depressed. Is it any wonder they drink to excess? No, it's any wonder they go to Chinese restaurants last night and drink triple martinis twice in a row, as I did. I did last night, I have to admit. I'm doing fine, though. I can drink vodka. It doesn't affect me the next day. Wine, you put it near me, I'm sick for 2 days. I don't understand. It's the congeners in the wine. The finest wine I get sick from. I can't kick it out of my system. Vodka I like. I just drink it. The trick is no mixer. No juice. The sugar will kill you. Don't be like a kid with the vodka and orange juice. That's going to knock you out like crazy. The sugar in it will get you sick. Be a man about your vodka. Be Russian about it. Drink it straight or drink it with if you want. You want to be a sissy about it, have some soda water, club soda mixed in with the vodka. You throw in a lime, you throw in an olive. That's a good thing. You won't get sick. That's if you drink it all. If you're a pothead, forget about it. Just vote for Bernie Sanders and go get some Kentucky Fried Chicken to go with it. I'll be back in a second.
Of a white
Excuse me, Robert, you have to cancel this recording. I don't believe you're playing such a racist tune on my show. That is disgusting. This is Bing Crosby singing White Christmas? Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. We have to take this out of the archives. This is absolutely offensive, I mean, when you think about it. You know how this marginalizes children who are not of a particular racial orientation? I mean, this is outrageous. I mean, you could just, I'm dreaming of, first of all, take the color out of it. And Christmas take out of it. I mean, you couldn't edit the song. I'm dreaming of a winter. But you got to change Christmas now instead of white. So, I'm dreaming of a winter. Whatever. Holiday. Well, no, that has holy in it. Holy implies Christian, because it's the number one religion of the West. You can't have that if you're an atheist who hates yourself and wants to destroy your country. I'm dreaming of a... You can't say holiday, winter holiday. What would go with white Christmas? Whatever. But you see the picture how we have to revise all of America. Here's another one for you double-talking phony liberals. Green campaigner Madonna uses her private jet for a 120-mile journey from Birmingham to London. No-brainer for Madonna, who chartered her own airline for a trip home from a Birmingham concert. The decision enraged environmental activists who accused the 57-year-old ugly hag of being a hypocrite for increasing her carbon footprint when she herself campaigns to help the climate crisis. Right. Sure. Horrid Bono care about the climate crisis. Right. That's why he's been invited in out of the White House, because he's such an environmental activist, or her. Look, what do you expect from an entertainer? Their brains are drug-addled. You expect them to tell you the truth? I don't know what anyone sees in her. I mean, personally, I find her, and this is some misogynist, I like women. I find her very unattractive. She disgusts me. She looks like a toll taker on the New Jersey Turnpike with a guitar. She always has. She looked like one of the lower class toll takers on the Jersey Turnpike. How she got this far, I don't know. Does Madonna strike you as Robert, I'm asking you, as a younger guy than me? Has she ever appealed to you? Yet the people like her. A hypocrite you understand with a private jet, with a carbon footprint. Like the obnoxious hypocrite Bono, do as I say, not as I do, another said. While in one former added, she has never given her own hypocrisy a thought. Mad Donna. Another asked male online. On her way to a global warming summit, was she? Like the rest of these celebs preaching hypocrisy. Sick. Another enraged fan wrote, what she really wants to campaign for is only the wealthy can leave their carbon footprints, while the rest of us have to use cart horses to travel. I am so angry at this hypocrite. Drawing on Madonna's attempts to help climate change. One other said, I have seen more green in the sun up there than she is. She thinks that everyone else is green behind the ears. Yeah, she reminds me of someone in the White House right now. Yeah, Obama, another great environmentalist. $70 million for his vacations, right? He's enjoying his Christmas vacation, isn't he? Yeah. The previous year, Madonna produced 440 tons of CO2 in 4 months. That's good for the vegetation, by the way. Then the idiots don't know that. That CO2 actually produces greenery. All that carbon there. Idiots, they're measuring it's the wrong metric of the wrong substance. What are they measuring carbon dioxide for? They don't understand that carbon dioxide doesn't cause global warming. Warming produces carbon dioxide. They don't even understand the basics of science. What would you expect from kids who went to the High School of Performing Arts because they couldn't compete in academia? They become actors and entertainers, which is great. I love actors and entertainers, but I don't turn to them for information or ideas. They're marionettes. They're puppets. Only we worship them in the West like morons. I don't turn to them for ideas or information. It's like asking Woody Allen to explain nuclear physics. He would probably explain it to you, thinks he understands it more than your Uncle Bernie, who has a PhD in nuclear physics. Whatever, don't get me started on these people. Because I like actors and entertainers. I told you I'm going to L.A. to spend time with actors and entertainers for a movie project I'm working on. I do, I'm telling you right now, as it is. I spent 3 hours today talking to my friend Robert D. about this movie we're doing. It's going to be so big, it's unbelievable. It'll be bigger than the first Godfather. It's going to be better than the first Godfather. He plays all the heavies in these movies. I love this. This guy is so great. Robert Davi, he's in 200 movies, always plays a gangster. I love going out with him. He scares people just walking into restaurants. My kind of guy. But anyway, I don't know how he survives in Hollywood when you think about it. His politics are antithetical to, you know who, right? Do I have to mention their names? All right. Until Friday live, but tomorrow canned on the Savage Nation. Be here.
Savage.